Hello everyone, it is time for the next edition of Pitch This.
I love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me.
Hello and welcome back to Pitch This here on the MrEliMac YouTube channel. I'm your host, MrEliMac, and today I'm finally going to be wrapping up a series that started all the way back in 2023 that really couldn't be finished until 2024 last year because of the last season of Superman and Lois. And since that has officially aired and I've given it some time to mull it over, I can finally get into finishing up What If the Arrowverse was Marvel. And we're on the last part of the series, part 11, the final nail in the coffin. And then that would sort of be the second major series that I can say is fully completed. Like, the What If the DCEU was the MEU is fully completed because the DCEU is done. The Arrowverse is going to be completed because the Arrowverse is done. The only series that is going to remain uncompleted is the What if the MCU was the DCCU, for the simple fact of the MCU is not done, and I don't think it's going to be done anytime soon. But before I get into the pitch, please be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. That way you could be up to date with all the videos I have here on the channel. Also, hit the notification bell. That way you can be notified whenever a new video like this comes your way. Now, to very much start off, again, Superman and Lois is the Marvel analog, is Spider-Man and MJ. And with Superman and Lois, it was very much wrapping up the major story that was presented in Superman and Lois, wrapping up the Doomsday storyline and wrapping up and doing like the final stand against Lex Luthor, with Lex Luthor revealing the identity of Superman as Clark Kent, and some other stuff was happening in it. There would be some flashbacks to how Superman and Lois first met, how we would mention that Lex had a daughter and he hadn't seen her in forever, and in the show, Lex got to meet his daughter and they got to have a moment. And also we got to see the Superman and Lois version of Jimmy Olsen, so we would have something similar to that as well. But again, with Spider-Man and MJ, we're very much wrapping up that story. We're having the Guardian clone be a final battle with Spider-Man and having him go into a coma state. Not fully killing him because I don't want to kill Spider-Man. And I think I might have said he died in Season 3, but just ignore that. This is the retcon of not killing Spider-Man. And he's just in a very strong coma. And one of the main things is Norman Osborn being the main antagonist, doing all these machinations that are very much that he's doing behind the scenes, and what he was doing when he was in jail originally for being the Green Goblin, and him very much stating, oh no, I'm not the Green Goblin, I am very much reformed in that state, and very much trying to continue that thread, and having a lot of characters as well being in the crossfires. For example, Jeff and Rio Morales, Miles' parents, they are going to be in the crossfires for Green Goblin discovering that Miles is the other Spider-Man. Flash Thompson and like the Thompsons are going to be very much dealing with that as well, since Norman knows that the Thompsons are very much connected to the Parkers and just that major thing. But one of the major characters that is going to be retained is Hammerhead, because Bruno Mannheim was in Season 4 and he was listed under the main cast, and Hammerhead would only be listed as a major cast member whenever he appears in an episode, and it would mainly just be with Hammerhead trying to help, in quotes, the Parkers and the Spider people, stopping Norman Osborn from doing all this stuff, because Hammerhead and Norman have a contentious relationship, similar to how Mannheim and Luthor have a contentious relationship. Another major thing is in Season 4, there was a character named Amanda McCoy, who very much served as the sort of second person in charge and the right-hand woman of Lex Luthor. In this, I am going to do something similar, but in the comics, it's normally Donald Menken. Instead of having it being Donald Menken, I'm having it be Danielle Menken. I'm gender swapping that character, because you could also have an opportunity to do a sort of love story of sorts to the character of Mencken, sort of how they did with Amanda McCoy. I think Amanda McCoy had a sort of like crush-like relationship with Luther, and trying to be, it's like a one-sided relationship of, oh, she's sort of involved with him, but he doesn't really care about her. And so it would sort of be something similar to that in that instance. But also we'd have characters such as Harry Osborn. He would appear, like mentioning that Lex had a daughter, we would have Harry appear in this, but he would only appear in one episode and sort of being that, Dad, I don't want to be involved with you. I don't want to be involved in anything that you're doing. I want you to stay away from me. And very much in that nature, and even have a moment where Peter and Harry have a face-to-face of like, look, I know what my dad is doing. You have to stop him. Because Harry knows that Norman has been the Green Goblin, and sort of getting that full circle moment of Harry trying to do what is right. But also I would have, though I would initially want him to only appear in one episode, I would want to have him and Liz have a connection, because I would have Flash and Liz separate in this season. And so we start getting closer to what happened in the MC2, which was Liz Allen and, or not even the MC2, what happened in the 616, where Liz Allen and Harry Osborn start getting into a relationship, and that we would just see hints of that. Another thing is that this would be the season where it would be revealed that MJ is actually pregnant again. Like, she's about to have another child, and in the finale she would have her child, and that would be revealed to be Benji Parker, Benjamin Parker, the son of Spider-Man. He would be the child that would be born. And similar, it's very much what happened in the MC2 universe, where Peter and MJ had two children, Mayday Parker, who is one of our main Spider people, and Benji Parker. And I think another major episode would be when they do in the Superman and Lois show, they had the Gordon Godfrey episode where Tom Cavanaugh played G. Gordon Godfrey, and where it's Lois and Luther debating against each other. We would have an episode similar to that, but instead of it being Gordon Godfrey, it's J. Jonah Jameson, and it would be Mary Jane and Norman debating each other about what is good about Spider-Man, and Norman very much saying, I've reformed, I am better than what I was in the past, I'm not Green Goblin anymore. And in fact, it was proven that I was never Green Goblin, because Hammerhead was just proving that I was doing something I wasn't. And also we would have a moment in the show where we would have Peter emerging from that coma because of Philip Watson, Mary Jane's dad, him finding a way to awaken Peter, and in the course of doing that, he is killed by the Guardian clone. And that is sort of what happens with Phil Watson, and that is how his character is written off. Ultimately, we would have another major fight scene between Spider-Man and Guardian, but this time Spider-Man is a little bit more focused and is like, oh, I know what I'm doing, and I'm not going to go out of the way and trying to be distracted. And they would have the fight, and Spider-Man is able to beat him, and he stops before he fully kills him, because the Guardian clone finally gets his sentience back, because it was originally Kane Parker. And because Kane is sort of regaining his consciousness, he is able to sacrifice himself and save Peter and everyone just by allowing himself to be killed and like sacrificing himself. And then that's when we'd get in the final act of the season finale, we would get the big Green Goblin and Spider-Man fight. Norman re-injecting himself with the Green Goblin formula and becoming the Green Goblin again, and even showing it's like, no, it wasn't multi-personality disorder, it wasn't DID, I was always the Green Goblin. And we have this big fight scene between Spider-Man and Green Goblin, to the point where, though Green Goblin thinks that he has a very similar power set and just as strong as Spider-Man, it gets to a point where Mayday and Miles is having to fight off some of the beings that Green Goblin is hired to help him. I don't know who exactly I would have as his henchmen, but just different people. But the people he would hire would actually prove to be a little bit too powerful for Spider-Girl and Miles. And it would get to the point where Green Goblin's basically like, look, I can beat them. I can kill your family just like that. all you have to do is say no. All you have to do is realize and understand that I am better than you, and I am going to make you suffer again and again and again. And first, I'm going to kill your wife and your children. And that is when Peter's just like, nope. And that is when he fully lets go and fully uses his full strength and his full potential and just beats the living crap out of Norman, to the point where Norman is begging for his life. His mask is like ripped off his face. His armor is like tattered to pieces. His glider has been destroyed. And Spider-Man's like, I could kill you right now if I wanted to. I could make sure you don't hurt anyone. And it's one of those scenes where the camera is showing this fight. Like someone from the Daily Bugle is able to record this fight, because in Daily Bugle is now multimedia. And again, in this universe, I would have Spider-Man's identity be revealed. And since his kid and his protege both have superpowers, like, they can handle themselves, because eventually Spider-Girl and Miles are able to stop the bad guys that they are fighting. But it's like they are there watching it, and Peter's mask is off. Norman's mask is off to show that Norman is the Green Goblin and has always been the Green Goblin. And Peter is like, I could kill you right now. With just a flick of my wrist, I could snap your neck. But I'm not. Because with great power comes great responsibility. And my responsibility is to throw you in jail. Make sure your jail cell is locked and the key is thrown away. And Spider-Man just webs him up, gives him to the police. And the police are like, thank you. And everyone in New York is like a little bit more like, oh, Spider-Man's a good guy. Spider-Man's great. And even J. Jonah Jameson, who is very much like, oh, Peter is someone that I've seen grow up. Though I didn't like Spider-Man, once I found out that Peter Parker and Spider-Man were one and the same, I have that respect for him. And it gets to the point where the Daily Bugle starts running positive pieces on Spider-Man. No longer is Spider-Man hero or menace. It is Spider-Man hero of New York. Those are what the headlines are. And then in the finale, we get the wedding of Harry Osborn and Liz Allen. Like, time passes and we sort of get the idea of like, oh, they grew in their relationship, and we see them coming together. Benji Parker is born. We do the 32-year run of what happens. Mayday eventually goes to college and then becomes her own hero, and Spider-Woman Miles takes up the mantle of Spider-Man fully. Benji starts developing his own powers, and Miles and Mayday start teaching him how to use his powers, and he gets his own suit. And Peter basically retires, and before he can fully give up everything, MJ passes away of natural causes. Peter lives a little bit longer because of the medication that Phil gave him to get him out of the coma, and also because of his spider abilities. It is able to extend his life a little bit longer than he would have expected. But then ultimately, we get the death of Spider-Man, where Spider-Man is on his deathbed with his daughter, Miles, and his son grown up by his side. And I'm basically saying this because it's such a great monologue. The final monologue, as Clark is dying, and he's going through seeing the ghosts of his past and acceptance and all that. That monologue itself is not just perfect for Superman, but it's also perfect for Spider-Man. And I'm basically like, oh, that monologue I'm putting here as well. And we just see Peter going through, seeing the young Mayday and Miles again, seeing the young Benji, seeing them together, and then seeing Aunt May and Uncle Ben, with Uncle Ben even saying, hey kid, it's time. And him seeing Flash, like seeing his friends, seeing Harry and Liz together, seeing Norman at the table crying, knowing that everything he did was for nothing, because he wanted not just power, but he also wanted to see himself as a great person to his son, but his son has fully rejected him. And because of that, he has failed. But even though he has failed in making his son proud, Peter is able to forgive him. And Peter is able to fully embrace forgiveness. And as he is walking out of his home at the Parker residence, he sees Mary Jane. And right before he walks out, she says, "Face it, Tiger, you just hit the jackpot." And he walks out, and they share a kiss and a hug. And that is how Spider-Man and MJ would end, with hope and peace, and knowing that Peter is going to be better in the future with Spider-Man and Mary Jane together again. And that is what I would do for Spider-Man and MJ the final season. I started to get really choked up at that ending, because even the Superman and Lois ending is so good that I was like, I just want to take that scene and put it with Spider-Man, because it's also great with Spider-Man. It's so good. Superman and Lois is such a good show, and I think that doing it with Spider-Man and Mary Jane is just perfect analog, because Superman is all about hope and doing what's best and being the ideal for people, and it's like the pillar of the DC comics. And though Spider-Man is always, the Parker luck, and always being down on his luck and being relatable and all that, at the end of the day, Spider-Man is sort of the best of Marvel. He is sort of, though he has troubles and he has problems, people look at him and go, that is what it means to be a hero in Marvel. He is what is best. He knows with great power comes great responsibility. Even if it's at the detriment of himself, he knows that he must help people. He knows what it means to be good and be pure and be a symbol of hope. And I think that is why whenever I look at Superman and I look at Spider-Man, I always look at them as the perfect analog for each other. Not just because of the colors, not because of the popularity. It's because their core fundamental aspect of themselves are right for each other. And I think that's why I think doing a Spider-Man and MJ show, where it's Spider-Man and MJ with kids and raising them and being parents and seeing them grow up and be mature, I think that's perfect. And it's something that I'm sort of mad at Marvel Comics at 616 are unwilling to do. Even though you see Batman, he has a kid. You see Superman, he has kids. And it's just, I want 616 Spider-Man to have a chance to grow up. We're getting it in the Ultimate Universe right now, but I just think having Spider-Man grow up is perfect for his character right now in comics. But what were your thoughts on this pitch, this quick summation of what I would do with a Spider-Man and MJ Season 4? Wrapping up the story. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Were you indifferent to it? Whatever your thoughts, post them in the comments down below. And also, again, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. That way you can be up to date with all the videos I have here on the channel. Also, hit the notification bell. That way you can be notified whenever a new video like this comes your way. And let's try to hit the goal 500 subscribers by the end of the year. I really want to get to that 500 subscribers. Please, let's help me do that. And be sure to share these videos if you like them. If you have friends that love ideas like this, share them with them. I would hope they would enjoy it as well. But with all that out of the way, thank you so much for watching this. I love you very much, and I hope you all remember to have a great rest of the day.